Section 19 of Tribal Custom and Anglo-Saxon Law. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Tribal Custom and Anglo-Saxon Law by Frederic Seebohm. The Tribal Customs of the Oldest Scandinavian Laws. Part 1. The monetary system of Scandinavia. The facts needful for the understanding of the monetary system of the Scandinavian tribes need not detain the reader very long. The weight system applied to gold and silver was that evidently derived from the Eastern Empire. It consisted of the mark, the oar, and the oartug. The mark was divided into 8 oars or ounces, and the oar or ounce into 3 oartugs, which were in fact staters or double solidi. The ounce being the Roman ounce of 576 wheat grains, the oartug contained 192 wheat grains, and was the exact counterpart in wheat grains of the Greek stater, i.e. Professor Ridgway's ox unit. Reckoned in wheat grains, 2 Scandinavian marks of 8 ounces were, as we have seen, exactly equal to what the early metrologists called the light mina attica, which consisted of 16 Roman ounces, or 9,216 Roman wheat grains. 4 gold marks thus made a heavy gold mina, traditionally representing a normal wergeld of 100 head of cattle. But this heavy gold mina of 4 marks had been seemingly twisted from its original Greek character to bring it into consistency with Roman methods of reckoning. It was divided no longer into 100 staters, but now into 96 oartugs, so as to make the oartug double of the solidus and 1/3 of the Roman ounce, thus throwing it out of gear, so to speak, with the normal tribal wergelds of 100 head of cattle. It was thus made to contain only 96 ox units, although in actual weight its 32 Roman ounces really did contain, so long as the standard of the Roman ounce was adhered to, 100 Attic staters or ox units. That the light mina of 2 marks or 9,216 wheat grains had found its way by the eastern trade routes into Scandinavia appears from its survival in the monetary system of countries on both sides of the Baltic to quite modern times. In northern Europe, the pound of 12 ounces was not, as elsewhere, the usual larger unit. The pound of 2 marks or 16 ounces had taken its place, and except in Norway and Denmark, which sooner or later adopted the monetary and weight system of Charlemagne, the ounce remained the Roman ounce of 576 wheat grains. At the same time, as in the case of the Merovingian system, in spite of the imperial influence of the gold solidus, there were evident marks of a tendency towards the ancient Eastern standard of the stater, rather than the heavier standard of the double solidus. The oartug of 192 wheat grains seems to have often sunk in actual weight below even the Attic weight to that of the ancient Eastern stater of 8.18 grams. Thus, when the Russian weight system was recorded in the time of Peter the Great, the unit both for precious metals and goods was found to be the zlotnik, or gold piece. Thus, zolya equals 0.0444 grams equals 1 wheat grain. Zlotnik equals 4.265 grams equals 96 wheat grains. Funt equals 409.511 grams equals 96 zlotnik, or 9,216 wheat grain. Here then, in wheat grains, the funt is the light mina attica over again, Romanized in its divisions. The zlotnik is the solidus or half stater, but in actual weight the pound is exactly half of the ancient Eastern gold mina of 818 grams. The fund of Silesia, Breslau, according to Martini, was 405 grams, and that of Poland, Krakow, the same. Only Sweden and Riga seem to have adopted or preserved higher standards, the double mark of Sweden being 425 and that of Riga 419 grams. But even these fell far short of the standard weight of 16 Roman ounces, that is 436 grams. But throughout, low as the standard of the Baltic funts or double marks may have been, they were divided according to the Roman commercial weight system into oars or ounces and loaths or half ounces, and gwenchen or drachmas of 1/8 of an ounce, just as if they were of full imperial weight. The marks and the oars remained, but the old division of oars into oartugs or staters had long ago disappeared. The division into marks, oars, and oartugs was, however, in full force at the time of the Norse laws, both for gold and silver, and the evidence of actual weight seems to show not only that for the purposes of the eastern trade routes, reckoning in marks, oars, and oartugs was in common use, but also that the standard, like that of the Merovingian coinage, was the ancient Eastern standard. Thus, the following weights, believed to belong to the Viking period from the island of Gotland, are now in the Royal Museum at Stockholm. 819 grams equals 100 staters or ortugs of 8.19. 56.25 grams equals 7 staters or ortugs of 8.1. 32.65 grams equals 4 staters or ortugs of 8.16. 32.4 grams equals 4 staters or ortugs of 8.1. 24.35 grams equals 3 staters or ortugs of 8.12. The unit of these weights is exactly the Eastern stater of 8.18 or 2 Merovingian solidi. Whether this standard had been arrived at independently of the Merovingian standard, or adopted from it, we must not stop to inquire. It is enough that the ortug at the date of the laws through Roman influence had come to be reckoned as 1/3 of the ounce. Whatever may have been the early Byzantine influences and that of Eastern trade routes, long before the date of the Norse laws, Scandinavia had come under Frankish influences also. Already during Merovingian times, chiefly through the Frisian mint at Dürstead, Merovingian currency had become well known on the Baltic, and we have seen that the first Scandinavian coins were copies from those of the Dürstead type. Hence it came to pass that in the most ancient of the Norse laws the old Scandinavian reckoning in gold and silver marks, ores, and ortugs had become connected with the Frankish currency. During the period of Merovingian influence, the Merovingian ounce and the Norse ore were both reckoned in wheat grains, the ounce of the Roman pound, whatever may have been their actual weight. The mark of 8 ounces contained 4,608 wheat grains of gold or silver. But at last, as the result of Charlemagne's conquest in the north, his nova moneta with its higher standard was brought into contact with Scandinavia. His mark of 8 of his ounces, or 5,120 wheat grains, ultimately superseded in Norway and Denmark the old mark of 8 Roman ounces. Hence, as all the Scandinavian laws as we have them are of later date than Charlemagne's conquests, the question must arise, which of the two marks is the one in which the wergelds and other payments are described? In the oldest Norse laws, the wergelds are stated mostly in silver marks, ores, and ortugs. The ratio between gold and silver was 1:8, so that an ore of gold equaled a mark of silver, and thus the translation of silver values into gold is easy. The laws themselves, as we shall find, make this perfectly clear. A wergeld stated as of so many gold marks is divided in the details of payment into silver marks, ores, and ortugs at the ratio of 1:8. End of section 19.